Hey guys, and thank you for tuning in. Welcome to Let Your Shit Out with Jon and
Cyn. It's hot as shit.
Hey shitheads, welcome to Let Your Shit Out with Jon and Cyn. Today we've got Dr. Sharon Simpson.
Hello, Dr. Simpson. How are you this fine Thursday afternoon?
Hello, how are you?
Actually, I don't know what day it is. What day is it?
It's Thursday.
It is Thursday.
It could be Tuesday.
Yeah.
We don't know.
You look beautiful today.
No, look at you.
Thank you. I wasn't sure if you were talking to me or Cindy, but okay. I'll take
Well,
it.
me and Cindy, we've already been talking. We've been talking already, so we're there. Okay, guys, so just so you know, what we're going to do today is we're going to have a little bit of shit talk, and then we're going to talk about you and the book, Warm Bodies, 78, and then we'll let you go. Well, I'm also going to talk about COVID travel, like, traveling internationally with all the COVID stuff going on. Because I just recently went to the Dominican Republic, right, in Punta Cana.
Right.
So I actually felt safer there than I did when I was in Florida. People weren't shouting at you, and people wore their masks and kept their distance, and we were able to be on a resort and keep it together. So here's what happened though. So I felt safe there and everything, and I went to this wedding, but then the next day I had all these red bumps all over my feet. One's on my elbow, and then there's actually one right there on my nose.
Dude, that's scabies.
No, it's the no-see-ums or the sand fleas, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm looking them up, and I find out that the males just bite you and go on, but the females burrow in and stick their ass out, and then they get humped by the men. So I'm like, somebody's like, this woman is getting fucked on my face right here. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, the whole time I was at this party going like this, they was at a party too, right on my face. My God.
I know, they always show that stuff on Survivor.
That's like Naked and Afraid stuff right there. We would like to hear just a little bit about your educational background.
From the time I graduated from high school, it's like communication was just who I was. And so even when I was 17 and I was normal college age and went to school, that's what I majored in, was communications. And then after 2 years, and I went, okay, I'm quitting. And then as an adult, I went back. And of course, that's exactly what I went into, was communications. It is in my soul to communicate. And that's why it upsets me so much if I find out from someone that they go, well, Sharon didn't communicate well. I mean, it's my soul that you just stuck a knife in. So my entire life, I live what I preach, and it's communication all the way, and I love it. And so I could never get enough of it. And so each degree, I would finish, then it was like, okay, I want to learn more. Okay, I want to learn more. And so, then by the time you finish, your PhD, you've been in school for at least 12 years. Yeah, I guess I'm an expert now. So, so it's just all about communications. However, you do have to declare a specialty in your PhD program. And so I did film production earlier on, but then for my PhD, I was doing marketing communications because that fascinated me. Back in the day, we were looking at product placement and stuff, which is, no one really knows what that is now. But
do you remember we got this in college, our marketing course in college, they brought this thing in, and it was subliminal advertising using.
Yes.
Do you remember the mushroom can? If you studied the mushroom, it was green giant sliced mushrooms. So the little baby ones, and they slice them thin, so it was like the cap and the stem. But if you looked at the picture of all the mushrooms on the label, there's a square picture, it spelled
was it penile looking?
Sex.
Oh, okay.
Spelled the word sex.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it was a thing. Yeah. Subliminal advertising. I mean, it was really a thing, and it's still a thing, I believe. It just is.
There's not so much subliminal anymore. It's like it's the way you hold the Coke can, and it just has to say Coca-Cola right in front of you.
Right.
And what was it? The penis castles in the Little Mermaid.
And actually, what I did for my master's degree, I ended up doing, because I had to do a thesis for my master's degree, and I ended up taking chick flicks.
Oh, chick flicks.
It was difficult to get an academic committee to be on board when you say, I wanna, look at chick flicks, and they're like, excuse me. So I fought for it. I was like, no, I want to extract the female characters from these chick flicks, but also look at their surroundings. So, for a waitress, it's like she was very much pink collar, and yet she would go home to like this gorgeous home. And it's like, that was so unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, no, someone working as a waitress in a little milkshake place is not going to go home to a gorgeous home with gorgeous furnishings. So anyway, so that was, I did that. And then of course I went on to my dissertation, which again, the committee said, wait, what? When I said, I want to do it on reality TV, because those are areas really not thought of in academic circles. I mean, they really don't care. So I had to really fight for, to do a dissertation on reality TV.
How did the book Warm Bodies 78, how did it manifest first in yours, and then how did it manifest with you and Lil as a co-author together and create the world?
So it was, cathartic, and I guess I just needed to tell the story, but it was brought on by my screenwriting teacher, who was like, okay, you've got to write something for this class. And I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. I mean, I don't know what to write. And then, the more I thought about it, the more I just went back to that time. And, I guess I just still had unresolved issues. And the fact that I was a parent by then, that really, that really affected me, that had happened. As a teenager, things maybe happen in your town, although usually not a serial killer, but, something happens and then you kind of like gloss over it because you're young and, whatever. But then later on, becoming a parent, I was like, well, that was some serious shit. I mean, it really was. And I remember my mother freaking out, because I wanted to go to the festival because look, there's nothing to do in Morgan City, Louisiana. Okay. So there was this big festival and I wanted to go. And my mom was like, you are not going, Sharon Louise. And I was like, oh, I'm going. And she was like, no, you're not. There's a serial killer out there. And no, you're not going. So again, I guess by that point I was a parent, and it just kind of brought that all back. And so I wrote the little short screenplay.
I remember when Lil was into the guts of the first like horrible scene in the book. We were house sitting that bed and breakfast, which was like 8,500 square.
Cinnamon Inn,
middle of nowhere by yourself, and she's like brand new down here. And I remember she'd be like texting me at 1 in the morning. I'm really creeped out. I've been writing about murdering people, and
and look, I was the same way. I remember having my Sony bio, way back in the day, a purple bio, and I remember I could not write past like 6 p.m. because it would creep me out so much. Because even as an actor, when you're writing a screenplay, it's the same thing. You've got to live inside of that character.
Because you have to visualize it too.
So my gosh, it would disturb me so much that it had to at least be daylight for me to write the screenplay. I couldn't even write at night. It would creep me out too much.
And I know that it had just a little bit more meaning than just a serial killer. Like Warm Bodies meant the oil field, the corruption in the town, and all of that.
Right.
They
again, as a,
like, I just want to say your quote.
Teenager, you're just like, oh, okay, like whatever. Yeah. But, as an adult, you go, golly, there was so much corruption. And I was lucky enough to, because I have a PhD and I do too much research, that, I found these original documents actually paid for by the National Mineral Association. And they had gone back and they had interviewed a lot of the people that were there back in the 70s that were much older than myself. And some of them I actually knew, like Dr. Daniels, who I put in the screenplay, and he just passed away. So I was so glad that I put him in that, because he was a really good guy. And as a matter of fact, his house is featured in Ghosts of Morgan City. And he hadn't passed away yet. But anyway, I'm glad I put him in there. But anyway, some other people were actually featured in this. They had done interviews with them. And so that really brought me back. Like reading these passages from people that I had actually known back in the day.
Yeah, and then kind of like how the serial killer kind of swept in there, got slipped into the place, was like this quote that you put in the book. That I'm quoting you from it. It says, maybe you need to start checking up on the people you hire. Check references, not just assume that if they have a pulse and can build shit, they are good to go.
Right. And that's how it was. I mean, because the oil companies, they were so greedy and they didn't care. And, they were pumping oil and they wanted to get, all the workers that they could towards that. And so employees were being treated horribly. And so people came in to try and start a union and everything. And, things got better at that point. But no, it was the Wild Wild West, and it was absolutely awful. It was awful for everyone except for the people's pockets that were being lined.
Isn't that?
Yes,
and you
of
had
course.
to be on the top rung for that, So as townsfolk, I mean, and especially as someone young, I mean, none of that. I mean, we didn't really understand any of that. I mean, we didn't. I mean, my stepfather was very blue collar, so. I didn't understand any of that again until later, and no, it was corrupt as hell. And and then back in the day, and then you throw in the fact that they treated anyone of color very differently, which I wanted to put that in there too, especially with our climate today. That I felt like that was an important aspect to put in it, especially looking back, at how corrupt it was.
Who do you think would enjoy the book most?
I feel like it's good for everyone. Who doesn't have some interest in serial killers? And I don't know. I guess if I had to say a demographic, okay, female, I guess.
And as the man in the room, I actually do think it speaks to the male demographic as well, because there's the uncle who cares so much. There's the brother. There's the husband. There's the men that are in the cigar lounge. There's the men that are in the oil fields. I mean, there's all these men who have these different relationships with each other too, and you see how they work together.
Right.
And it was not as emotional. Yeah.
And it was very masculine, back in the 70s. I mean, it totally was. So that's why it's hard for me to, get a demographic.
I would say an age range more than a demographic, because there is a lot of explicit content and therefore I think too young of a child to read. So
I don't know.
Well, you could have a point. You could have a point with that. But I mean, but look at what they're watching though.
Well, no. I mean, like a 5-year-old shouldn't read it.
No, I would agree. At least 16.
Hopefully they don't understand it. Yeah.
At least 16, if
Definitely.
not 18, like college age.
Yeah.
And really, it would be a good thing for college age to read, because, that's when women really have to start watching out for themselves.
Sharon, can you tell us if someone wants to read more about your book or get your book, where can they find you?
At www.warmbody78.com.
Very good. And is it available on Amazon already?
It will be next week.
Next week. All right. So everybody go out now.
Woo!
Next
week.
That's going to be a book to shit to. Book to shit to, guys. And I have like one little question here. Like, there was an Airbnb incident, because you have a place in Panama City Beach, where a guy from Kentucky came down and broke the couch. Can you give your best accent of how he explained the couch being broken?
Well, okay, first of all, what I think happened that I didn't hear was him saying, "Hey, y'all, we got a beach house. Come on." And come on they did, because we believe that there were about 7 people sleeping on that couch. And so when they called us, he was like, "Yeah, we can't get that couch in. We can't fold that bed into that couch." And I'm like, "What?"
Did you
and
get all the
like, "No, we can't." And we were like, "What do you mean we can't?" So no, we sledgehammered it back in. So yeah. And found KY jelly on the floor. So I'm just saying.
I have a question
found KY
for you. That's
yes.
disgusting. But hey, you can lubricate the hinges to get the couch back in better. It's like a
Yeah, no, there was no lubricating. Welds snapped and everything. So no, it was sledgehammer. Okay, believe me.
Okay. So on that note, I have to ask you, would you ever maybe consider renting Todd's beard out for squirrels as an Airbnb, and they can go nuts in there?
Look, absolutely. Because he's turned me into, I guess I was always a wantrepreneur. Yeah, so he's turned me into an entrepreneur. So there is money everywhere, including Todd's beard.
All right. So I got just because I need to know, I'm thinking of Airbnb in my she shed. What's the cleanup fee for a nutty beard?
For a what?
A nutty beard.
A nutty beer?
Well, the squirrels, they have nuts in there.
Nutty beard.
Oh, a nutty beard. Oh,
I mean, you already had KY
150.
jelly by the couch. Yeah, 150. Okay,
For sure. Because you just don't know what the shit they're doing. So 150 minimum.
Cleanup fee.
150.
No, it's actually 150 acorns.
All right, so we got the KY jelly cleaned up by the bed, and then we got a nutty beard cleaned up for 150.
Yes.
There we go. So, and you might as well stay on for the best shit of the week this week. All right, how about that? You want to hear it?
Okay.
Here's my pick. A priest kept chickens at his village. One evening, the cock went missing. At the church mass prayer gathering, the priest asked, "Who has a cock?" All the men got up. No, I meant who has seen a cock? All the women got up. No, who has seen a cock that isn't theirs? Half the women got up. Oh, for heaven's sake, who has seen my cock? All the nuns got up.
Oh.
We would like to thank our sponsors, Long Bar Creative Solutions. And I want you shitters to know that if you're trying to get your business started and you're stuck on the shitter, they have the team that can help you out. So go to Long Bar Creative Solutions and get your business started today.